I guess today, signing documentation for.
Yeah, there's something we gotta sign for Blake.
Yeah, I mean, we don't send this whole copy, we just sign a document certifying.
Right. I think so, yeah, I haven't seen the document, I have to look at the document from Blake. If we need to set
It's
up.
6 o'clock, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. If you would stand and join me in the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Catherine, would you call the roll, please?
Dean Cruz.
Here.
Brian Cruz.
Here.
Julie Ball. Here. Tom Steggy.
Here.
Terry Walker.
Here.
Debbie Petrowski. Here. And Dale is not here.
I had to stop and think, because I'm so used to saying, sure, would you call the roll?
She just might.
Yeah. Okay, on the meeting agenda tonight, we have item A, under communications and announcements, updated municipal county trail committee meeting minutes. Department and committee reports. A is the water department report, included in your packet is the very term monthly report. B is the fire department report. And under that, we need to appoint a new liaison to serve a 4-year term ending November 20th of 2020. C is the Office of the Zoning Administrator's report. D is the Planning Commission report. Item 1 under there is consideration of approval of the appointment of Planning Commission liaison to serve a 4-year term ending November 20th of 2020. Item E is the PEG report. F is the DDA report and minutes. G is the sewer project report. H is the elections commission report. And under elections commission, we need to appoint 3 election commission members to serve 4-year terms ending November 20th of 2020. Under unfinished business, we have item A, consideration of approval of the presented changes to the authorized signatories in the township PNC bank accounts. Under new business, we have item A, consideration of approval of the appointment of 2 planning commission members to serve 3-year terms ending December 31st, 2019. There were 2 vacancies there and only 2 applicants. Under item B is consideration of approval of the appointment of 2 downtown development authority members to serve 4-year terms ending December 31st of 2020. Again, there were 2 vacancies and only 2 applicants. Item C is consideration of approval of the resolution of the Charter Township of Ottawa Board of Trustees pursuant to resolution number 2001-06A and 1954 Public Act 188 as amended, redetermining the total cost of services for the year 2017 and directing the supervisor to extend such costs upon the Horizon Point Special Assessment Rule. Item D is consideration of approval to pursue hiring an additional legal firm to represent the township in certain zoning matters due to possible conflict of interest. Item E is consideration of approval of the adoption of an ordinance to amend the Charter Township of Filer Code of Ordinances to add new Chapter 28 to provide for connection to public sewers within the township, to regulate such public sewer connections, to prohibit certain conduct, to provide for the assessment and collection of charges and fees in connection with sewage disposal services, to provide penalties for violations of the ordinance, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. Anything else on the agenda for tonight that needs to be added?
Yeah, we have to do the addition
Oh,
of
yes.
the contract.
So that will be item F. which is consideration of approval of presented part-time employment agreement between the Charter Township of Filer and Shirley Ball. So that will be item F. Anything else?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Dean Cruz, support by Brian Cruz to approve the meeting agenda for tonight. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. Under consent agenda items tonight, we have A, minutes of the special board meeting held November 14th, 2016. B, welcome and introduction of newly elected clerk Kathy Gutowski and treasurer Tom Steggy. And I guess we should do that right now. Welcome, Kathy. Glad to have you with us. And Tom, welcome. Glad to have you with us. And glad to have you continuing to be with us, Shirley, as a trustee now, as opposed to being the clerk. So, anyway, welcome. And item C is the financial report. Item D is the approval of the township general fund expenditures, including the fire department. Those are checks 34066 through 34177. Accounts payable total $43,859.40. Payroll totals $13,357.09, bringing the grand total to $57,216.49. Item E is approval of the water department expenditure, check numbers 2315 through 2325, totaling $36,632.05. Item F is appointment of Jack Ball to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term ending December 31st of 2019, and that was the only vacancy on the ZBA, and Jack was the only applicant. Item G is appointment of Jim Roque and Bob Scared to the Building and Grounds Committee for 4-year terms ending December 31st of 2020. And there were 2 vacancies on the Building and Grounds Committee, and those were the only 2 applicants that we had. Item H is appointment of Bruce Scara and Jennifer Williams to the Personnel Committee for 4-year terms ending December 31st of 2020. And again, we only had 2 applicants, though there were 3 vacancies on this committee. Jennifer and Ruth were the only 2 applicants that we had. Item I is the appointment of Jack Ball, Elizabeth Allen, and Susan Mark to the Board of Review for a 2-year term ending December 31st of 2018. And we had, again, 3 vacancies with only 3 applicants. So if there's nothing else there for discussion, I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Motion by Steggy, support by Brian Cruz to approve the consent agenda for tonight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comment. Any public comment from Del?
Welcome to all the new people, and keep our township in black, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Del. Same to you. And we will certainly strive to keep the township in black. Anyone else? Okay, moving to our reports then. Item A, the water department report. Again, you have that in your packet. The fire department report, Ron?
For the month of November, we had a total of 27 calls for service, 19 of those were medical. We had one unknown fire on US 31 that turned out to be a legal burn where the new golf course is going to be put in. We had one structure fire in Fowler and one auto crash. As you're all aware, I believe you're all aware of the issues that were taking place with the Jaws of Life in Manistee County. We have partnered with Stronach Township, and using their Jaws of Life equipment, we're creating a Jaws unit to basically be available around the lake. We're going to start out with our 2 departments and expand it. We hope to get personnel from East Lake and Manistee Township as well, and perhaps the city of Manistee as we get it organized to put less pressure on those people that are available from our 2 departments, and to make sure that we always have personnel available. We have a limited amount of equipment, so it's going to require probably us purchasing safety equipment for our own personnel, but we're not at the point of doing any of that yet, and then we'll make further reports to the board as we make progress. Right now we have, between the 2 of us, we have 22 people signed up for an extrication class on the 17th and 18th. Saturday, which is the lecture portion, will take place at our township in our classroom. And the 18th, we will have 2 vehicles in our parking lot that we're going to cut up on Sunday. If anyone's interested in coming and watching, seeing how we do that, or just sitting in on the class or whatever, just let me know. We'll make arrangements for you to come in and watch, or you can just stop by the station during the day on Sunday and watch as we cut the cars apart.
That's this Sunday, right?
That's the 17th and 18th.
Oh, okay.
17th will be the classroom, 18th will be the actual physically cutting the vehicle. We also have personnel, I believe it's 4 right now that are enrolled in a emergency vehicle driving course that the city of Manistee is hosting. That's this Saturday. That course is required for anyone that's going to drive an emergency vehicle for the fire department. Actually, for anyone, for any service that's going to drive it. That is a classroom, 8-hour classroom class, and then before they can operate a vehicle, we take them out and they have to put in about 10 hours of actual driving under supervision, not emergency response, so that they can, before they can actually drive a vehicle for the township. So they're pretty well trained by the time they actually get in. Safety is a big issue, safety for our people and as well as the public in general. This year there's not a firefighter class. They're hosting a firefighter challenge, and what that is, we hope to have 6 people enrolled in that. And what that means is that each department is responsible for training their own personnel, and then we send them to a test that is going to be proctored by the state of Michigan and will be held in Filer. We normally hold the written test at our station and the practical test where they actually have to perform functions of firefighting is normally at Madison School, and that's what we hope to do again this year. That's sponsored by the Firefighters Association. The only cost involved is we were required to purchase the books. You'll see that invoice. With all classroom, college-type classroom books, they're quite expensive. And I think our total cost for the books was $732. Those books, until the state changes the version they're going to use, we'll be able to reuse those beyond this year, unless the state changes the curriculum. There's going to be a lot of activity. You'll see a lot of activity around the station with this firefighter class. So right now they're going to be there at at least every Sunday night from 6 to 9, and then there will be some hands-on training activity that we'll do during the week, utilizing different personnel in our department. Also, we have a new applicant. His name is Shay Rondell, lives on 5th Street. We've interviewed him. He interviewed very well. He also is acquainted with a couple of the city fire department firefighters. We've talked to them, and he comes highly recommended from those people that know him on a personal basis. He is in his 30s, so he is a resident that we expect, that age group that we like to get, because they have a tendency to stay in one place. We do get a lot of young people, and a lot of times his job requirements change where they have to go to find work. He had a permanent job in Manistee. So I'd like the board's authority to hire him to the department.
How much does that put you up to?
That'll be 23.
So we're back up to 23 now?
We're up to back up to 23.
I so
move that we, I'll move that we, that you add Shay Rondell to your roster.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to add Shay Rondell to the Township Fire Department roster, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Go ahead, Ron, anything else?
Thank you very much. This is good timing because it allows him to get in the firefighter class and in the driving class, and so we'll be able to get him trained pretty quickly. I do not have anything else at this time. Board, any questions?
Ron, you're looking at partnering with Stronach for the Jaws of Life coverage. That's, I know we've kind of used Grant Township some in the past. This will be probably a little better situation.
Well, Grant Township covers a large area of
Right.
Mason County, and there's always a possibility of them being out on call when we need them. And there's been more than one occasion where we have had a serious crash on US 31 where we've actually called 2 Jaws of Life units. So this would allow us to have Stronach in our area, and then if we had to cut 2 vehicles, that would allow us to call Grant and accomplish both at the same time rather than taking the time to do them separately. So it gives us a lot more options, and all the way around the lake, and that's what we're hoping to be able to do. Right now, the closest Jaws of Life is either Grant or Necco. So this gives us a better option, and it's always hard for Necco when we used to use them all the time, to try to run through the city of Manistee. A licensed siren is not a fun thing, and so this makes it so no one will have to do that.
And you were talking about the need for additional equipment for the Jaws. Are you looking at possibly a revenue sharing grant?
Yes, well, right now with the county, if you recall, we had the old Jaws of Life unit in our station.
Right.
The county was able to sell that for $65,000, and what they're going to do is they're giving that money to making that available to the County Firefighters Association. And the last meeting, I wasn't there, but Jim Esservick was, and a couple other people from our department, and there were proposals put forward to divide that money up amongst the departments that needed equipment. And our hope is that before going to the revenue sharing board, which would mean that we would not get the money until next fall, we're hoping to be able to acquire some of that money to use for equipment, which would help us a lot. Right now we have, Stronach has an excellent Jaws of Life tools, but we need some heavy lift airbags, and we need some rams that allow us to fly vehicles apart in addition to being able to truck. So we're hoping we will purchase that with the money from the entourage unit from the county.
Good. I had heard that they had sold it, so that's good news.
That's it.
Do you have any idea how much that equipment would cost?
No, offhand, Wayne Lindeman, the chief from Stronach, has been doing research on that, and they're looking at they make a package. He's told me that they make a package of equipment that you can purchase that's approximately $13,000 to $15,000, and they're talking buying 3 of those, and one would be available for Stronach, one for Onekama, and probably one for Norman Township, who already have their JAWS equipment. They just need the supplemental lifting and prying equipment that's available. But that hasn't been determined completely. There'll be another meeting in January, the Firefighter Association, and we're hoping to have more information then. Right now, we're just trying to get through the training period. But once we get that done, and then through that next meeting, and then I'll keep you guys updated with what's going on with that.
Okay, good. Any other questions of Ron?
Okay, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Ron.
Thank you.
Okay, next, item C, zoning administrator's report. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes, we do need to, I wasn't aware your term was expired. I guess, because you were just filling in.
Yeah, we're just filling it in.
Yep, so we do need to appoint a new fire department liaison for a 4-year term ending November 20th of 2020. I guess I'd throw it out to first anybody that's interested in filling that role.
I would be glad
Do you
to.
wish to continue that?
I would like to continue.
Thank you.
Okay, I make that motion.
And I'll second the motion to appoint Dean Cruz as the fire department liaison to the, from the township board. Any discussion? Thanks for volunteering. Dean. Let's
Okay.
call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now the zoning administrative report. You'll note in there there's an appeal that's been requested, and there is that is scheduled for the 8th, Thursday. Item D is the planning commission. First of all, you have the minutes in your packet. Shirley, is there anything you wanted to add?
No,
Planning commission.
They are going to take a look at the surrounding lake communities to see about whether they're passing ordinances. So maybe more of that will come in the future. And meanwhile, the legislature is still working on it as far as I know, so maybe the two will come together.
And we need to appoint planning commission liaison to serve a 4-year term ending on November 20th of 2020. And Shirley's been doing that for, I won't ask you how long, quite a while. But we need somebody from the township board to represent us on the planning commission. And I guess I would first ask Shirley if you're interested in continuing in that capacity.
I'll make the motion on that one.
Well, it has to be supervisor recommended.
Then I will, with that, I will recommend that we appoint Shirley as our planning commission liaison for a 4-year term ending November 20th, 2020.
I'll second.
I don't think we need to vote on this.
So, anyway,
but I appreciate the support. Item E is the PEG Commission report. Keith, is there anything you want to add to your?
Yeah, a couple of things. We need Dean to come back on the commission there. Father's supposed to appoint 2 people to the PEG Commission according to the policy and bylaws that I have. So, anyway, well, this weekend we were going to run the Sleigh Bell Parade live. It would have been our first time running it live, but the feed downtown, which comes out of Grand Rapids, went down just minutes before they were supposed to start. So the only thing we got was a disc of the parade, but we couldn't run it live. I sat there from 5 o'clock to 6:30 with a blank screen in front of my face. So I didn't even get to see the parade. So anyways, but the kids are doing great with their commercials that they're actually selling downtown to get money to buy equipment, because the school's kind of tight. It doesn't buy much for them, and we don't have a lot of money to spend either. But they're winning prizes all over the place, and you see things in the paper about them all the time. And so they're really enthusiastic this year. Last year they were too, which is kind of surprising, but it's a great group of kids. They're like pros already. So I guess that's about it. Unless you have any other questions.
Yeah, that group is doing a lot of really good work, and they're doing some work right now for the township.
Oh yeah.
On our Lagoon Creek project.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, they did some for the boat.
Yeah, Brian Bain is the classroom instructor.
Yeah, and they love it. You know, so they do just about anything. One thing I'd like to get them to do is take some of the sports, and so far no go, but maybe one of these days I'll come back to that, because that'd be great. People love to watch that. And all the stuff that we're doing now is going on our website, online too. So you don't have to have charter cable to watch, like the meetings, for instance. You can get all that stuff on our website, menacetv.org. And they also, on that website, have community videos too. Like that parade, not the parade, but the preliminary choral concert that they put on for the Sleigh Bell weekend. And that's already uploaded and playing on the website. Tune in, check it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they've done some wonderful work.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the videos they've produced on the parade and the senior center.
Yeah.
They've done some really nice work.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Keith.
Yep.
DDA, I don't know if you have minutes in your packet. I don't have any in mind, but the DDA did meet tonight. They haven't met since October for lack of quorum, and we've only had 6 members on the DDA for some time since we lost Phil Peralta and Ed Williams both through their passing, and then one other member that we lost. And so it's been really difficult. But tonight the DDA did meet, and we had a full contingent of 9 members on the DDA now. So that's really good. So I look forward to them being able to meet on a regular basis now and proceed with some of the projects that they've got going. 31 corridor project would be one, and the sewer projects. And speaking of the sewer project, the item G report on the sewer project, I spoke with Brian Sousa recently, and they're getting ready to submit for all of the permits that are needed. He hopes to have that done by the end of this week, if not, then the first part of next week. And they also Had discussions with the health department in terms of what's going to be required regarding abandonment of the old septic systems that will be replaced with sewer. There'll be, once they submit permits, there'll be a waiting period, and then there'll be putting out bids. Brian hoped by the middle of January, early part or mid-January to have bids out. Those will be due 31 days later, so hopefully by mid-February we'll be receiving bids and proceeding. He said everything's on schedule at this point to be able to begin construction in the spring. So things are moving along. I have a meeting next week with Leo Dion for the vulnerability assessment and the emergency response plan that we need to complete for rural development. Mike Killer and I will be meeting with Leo Dion, and we'll be getting those two pieces into Blake Smith. So that's kind of an update on the sewer project.
Terry, can I add a couple of things?
Sure.
I'm still having difficulty with our friends out in Arizona on Family Fair. I spoke again at length yesterday with somebody that is referred to as their condemnation consultant. Gave him all the numbers, all the figures that we had, what it is we're looking for, and so on. Hopefully we'll hear back from him shortly. My partner Jim Scales is working on obtaining options to obtain the easements that we need from the bank and the credit union. And then last but not least, the location where we need the lift station from on the Geenan property that Mr. Geenan is gifting to the township. We're having some title issues with that. We have not been able to get a title commitment yet for that property. Apparently there are some issues with the legal descriptions of record. They're not quite fitting together the way they should. So the title company is working on those issues. But the lack of clear title on that property is going to be an issue unless we get it cleaned up, because rural development will require that we issue a title opinion that says we'll have good title to that property, so that the title to the lift station will be unassailable. But we'll fix whatever we can fix and whatever has to be fixed to get us to that point. That was one other. Oh, the lack of a title commitment at this point in time is also holding up the completion of the phase one work. They need the phase one, Lobby, who's doing the phase one, needs to see the title work in order to be able to run down any easements and see what those are all about before they can complete their report. If we have any information about the Morton brine line that runs through there, they're looking for that information. They haven't been able to find any of it yet. They're aware of the historic spill that occurred a number of years ago with that line. If you recall, when we were trying to buy the property where the condos are right now, that was an issue. And of course, that property is right next to the Geenan property. So anyway, they're waiting for the title work, which will hopefully show either an easement or some other record of the Morton line that runs through there, so they can identify where that location is. They do have records from the DEQ showing the spill. Apparently there is some record they're working on getting, so this is all kind of, all the balls are going to come out of the air at one time, but in the meantime, we're juggling all of them to keep things moving forward.
Any idea when we might have resolution on that?
Well, the
property,
Geenan property, I checked with Logan at the title company this afternoon. He did not get back to me. I wanted to get him if I could, but the last time I spoke to him, which was late last week, he had submitted a couple of questions to the title company underwriters and was waiting for some answers on that. But he said it's not a question of ownership. It appears that Geenan does in fact own it. The question is, what down there does he actually own?
Land description?
The land descriptions are not matching up, and according to the tax roll maps and so on, those are all supposed to fit together down there, but apparently they're not. And so we've either got some gaps or we've got some overlaps that need to be identified and addressed in some fashion. As far as the family fair people, I mean, I'm not sure how much longer we want to screw around with them before we just say, fine, we're going to go to condemnation and do what we have to do. I do have the name of their consultant now. I told him I would give him a day or so to think about what it is I said, what it is I sent, and I'll follow up with him later this week to try and get some resolution to this. But I don't understand, you know, why this is such a low priority issue for them, other than the fact that this is a big real estate investment trust is what this is, I'm sure. And so we're small potatoes compared to all the shopping centers and everything else that they're probably operating.
But the fact that they stand to gain substantial bills,
I mean, that's net of the special assessments. They'll be saving at least $10,000 a year. That'll probably go up to $12,000 or $15,000 in the next 5 years using reasonable inflation. So, yeah, as I told the condemnation consultant on the phone yesterday, I said, you know, if I have to go to condemnation, I'm going to claim every penny of the benefit that you're going to receive. And that will, in my estimation, probably offset completely any condemnation award that you get. Because with that pipe in the ground over there, you know, you're going to be receiving $10,000 a year. It's going to go right to the bottom line that you're not getting now. And I don't know how that's not a benefit. You know? Because the pipe is buried. I mean, there's no, I mean, this is going to be something that you're going to put in the ground over there. And you know, you're never going to look at it again for 50 years. So,
yeah, and it's in an area where they will not probably.
yeah, nobody's going to be building along there anyway. I mean, it's, you know, they said, well, that's the edge of our storm water retention pond. I said, that's fine. I mean, the contractor knows how to dig a hole and put it back together, and, you know, that's not going to be an issue. Your pond doesn't have any water in it right now, the last time I drove by it. So,
Yeah, we've been held up for quite some time with that.
we have, and I'm getting to the end of my road in terms of just trying to be doing this the easy way, the nice way. So, anyway, that's what we say about that.
Okay, moving on to item H, the Elections Commission. We have the appointment of 3 election commission members to serve 4-year terms ending November 20th of 2020. And where did I lose those? That wasn't, and then you don't have anything in your packet?
There's nothing in the packet, you have that a note on it.
Yeah, I trying to recall, Bill,
Well, the elections commission in the Charter Township was made up of the clerk and 2 trustees. In the past, I was the clerk, and we had a Democratic trustee and a Republican trustee.
we had Dean and Tom, didn't
We had originally Dean and Ed, and then when Ed passed away, Tom took over.
we? Right.
He was a Republican and Ed was a Democrat, and so was Tom. It doesn't say that it has to be that way, but we have done it always that way because then we feel that everybody was represented.
Okay, well, yeah, we can appoint Kathy as a clerk to
She's already on
the
it.
election commission.
That choice.
Right, so then ideally it would be nice to have 2 trustees that are one Republican and one Democrat, and so that, yeah, I guess, Brian, are you volunteering for that?
So it's just a regular motion from anybody, I make that motion.
And do we have another volunteer from one of our other, Dean? I'll do it again. Okay. So Shirley, are you making the motion then?
I am.
Okay, and I'll second that motion. So we have a motion to appoint Kathy Tusky, Brian Cruz, and Dean Cruz to the Election Commission for a 4-year term ending November 20th of 2020. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under unfinished business tonight, we have consideration of approval of the presented changes to the authorized signatories of the Township PNC bank accounts. And as you recall, we addressed that at our special meeting in November, but we needed to make some changes there, so you have.
Well, if I could just add, the PNC Bank wanted a little more clarification on that, because some of the accounts only have 2 signatories and some have 4. So they wanted to know in more detail who's coming off and what their title was, who's going on and what their title is, and if some are changing positions but staying on, like deputy treasurer. So we put this motion together to meet their requirements.
And so this motion we have in our packet satisfies their request, okay.
It's just clarifying the one you did at the special board meeting on the 14th of November. Still more clarification.
Okay. And so that add in and clarifies their requirements that the signatories for the account numbers ending 954, 602, 637, 964, 833, and 325 will remove Shirley Ball, clerk, and also remove Karen Pomeroy, deputy treasurer, and will then add Tom Stady, treasurer, Kathy Guzowski, clerk, Lynn Coolier's deputy clerk, and it will change Ruth Skier's title from treasurer to deputy treasurer. And then for account numbers ending 995, 753, and 581, this motion will remove Karen Pomeroy as deputy treasurer. It will add Tom Stady as treasurer, and then it will change Ruth Skier's title from treasurer to deputy treasurer. And I will make that motion. Okay, motion by Walker, second by Brian Cruz to approve the addendum to the motion of the special township board meeting from November 14th.
I think we need to do a roll call.
Yeah, we should.
because
Is there
I
any
never-
further discussion on this before we do the roll call? Okay, Kathy, you want to call the roll then?
Ball,
Yes.
Stady,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Kirkowski, yes. Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Dean Cruz,
Yes.
Kalinsky, yes.
Okay, under new business, item A, we need to approve the appointment of 2 planning commission members. Approve my recommendation of appointing 2 planning commission members to serve 3-year terms ending December 31st of 2019. And the 2 applicants that we have are Roger Dittmer and Richard Mark, both incumbents on the planning commission. And those are the only applicants that we have for 2 positions, so I would like to make that recommendation to the board.
Or which one first?
They're both 3-year terms, are they not? Yeah. Yeah. So, Roger Dittmer, well, okay, we're gonna vote on it one at a time, yes. So I'll recommend that we appoint Roger Dittmer to one of the vacancies on the planning commission.
So I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Paul, second by Brian Cruz to approve supervisor's recommendation of the appointment of Roger Dittmer to the planning commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so motion carried on a 5-1 vote. I will also recommend that we appoint Richard Mark to the planning commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st of 2019, and would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Brian Cruz, support by Tom Steggy to approve supervisor's recommendation of the appointment of Richard Mark to the planning commission for a 3-year term. Any discussion on that one? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item B is consideration of approval of the appointment of 2 DDA members to serve 4-year terms in the December 31st of 2020. And again, we had 2 applicants for the 2 vacancies, so I would first recommend the appointment of Robert Henry to one of those vacant DDA positions.
So moved. I'll second.
Motion by Dean Cruz, support by Brian Cruz support by Tom Steggy to approve the supervisor's recommendation of the appointment of Rob Henry to a 4-year term on the DEA. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I would also recommend the appointment of Laura Horvat for another 4-year term to the DEA.
I'll make that motion.
That was Brian, right? Okay. Motion by Brian Cruz, support by Tutusky to approve the supervisor's recommendation of the appointment of Laura Horvat to the DEA. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item C is consideration of approval of a resolution of the Charter Township of Fowler Board of Trustees pursuant to resolution number 2001-06A and 1954 Public Act 188 as amended, redetermining the total cost of services for the year 2017 and directing the supervisor to extend such costs upon the Horizon Point Special Assessment Law.
Give a little more detail on that. More detail on that.
Well, they do not pay taxes. This is a special assessment to cover the costs that our township fire department incurs in making runs to the Horizon Point. And my understanding, I guess, is this is was a federally funded housing project that was tax exempt, and so they do not pay taxes to the township.
You get a payment in lieu of taxes equal to, I think it's 7% of the shelter rents.
There's the formula that they talk about
Right,
in yours.
right.
How we determine what that amount is based on the amount of fire runs, the cost of each fire run.
Right.
Apply that formula and come up with that figure.
Net figure for this year, for 2017, is $8,522.40. And it's
Something we do every year.
something we do every year, and some years, the costs incurred by the fire department are covered, and some years, that falls short.
It may cover the individual cost, but it doesn't cover or help us at all in replacement of equipment. And those things like, we have disposable equipment that we have to use, rubber gloves, oxygen tubing, Some of that used to be covered by West Shore Hospital, is not any longer. We have to purchase that stuff by ourselves. And plus the wear and tear on the vehicle. So they actually don't participate in helping us purchase any of that, and I don't know. I just did some looking. I'm looking at, to me, a fair amount to, would probably be around, if you were going to play system pay replacement equipment, it'd probably be somewhere around $400 to $500 per call. And I just did just some scribbling, and from what I could see last year, they probably paid somewhere around $260. And this year, it's going to be a little higher because they fewer runs, so it's probably about a little over $300. I don't know. I don't have those exact figures. You would know. Or Tom may know. I'm not sure. I think that may have been calculated before he started.
Kind of did it right just before, about 30th of November. Ruth did most of it because she was familiar with what needed to be done.
Well, the cost, can I say something?
Sure, go ahead, Ruth.
The cost of the runs were down a little bit. I mean, the total cost that the fire department had for the 11 months was down a little bit from last year. And then you had, I think, 3 or 6 fewer runs to Horizon Point. So that's pretty much why it's like close to $2,000 less than last year.
Right, because you're always catching up. This year's assessment should be based on last year's costs.
Yeah, that's the only way we have to compute.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to, Ron and talked about a little bit before the meeting. It's really hard to get a good handle on a figure. I mean, I know there was one year where one resident required numerous runs. I don't know if there's any other way we can do this on an average basis, a 4 or 5 year average, or it has to be done this way.
Well, we could, but we'd have to go and reopen. In fact, it may be time to relook at this whole special assessment district again. There are other ways that municipalities are doing this now as opposed to special assessment districts. In Ludington, for example, there's a Mishta housing project going up in downtown. Same issues. They're going to pay us a percent of the rent, but that has to be shared with all of the taxing jurisdictions. Yet the city of Ludington, in this case, has to provide the fire and police protection. And so we calculated what those likely would be and have a municipal services agreement where we have simply a regular contract with the developer to pay us X number of dollars per year to cover those costs. Now, that would require somebody to sit down and actually try to project into the future, what our costs are likely to be going forward. But then you set it up and you've got a set amount every year. Some years you may be high, some years you may be low, but theoretically over the long run, you're going to cover at least the marginal costs of the fire department for these runs.
Have we done that over the years, covered the marginal cost over the years?
I'd say
I
we
think
cover the marginal cost.
when we started out, we probably were pretty close.
No.
I'm not so sure now that we do, because the costs have gone up so much, the fuel costs and the other costs have gone up, our expenses have gone up, so
Is there any depreciation, for example, built into these prices? I don't know that there is. But in order to change the formula, I guess to go back to my original point, in order to change the formula, we'd have to send out a new notice, have a new public hearing, adopt a new resolution to replace resolution 2001-06A, and come up with a different formula. Or simply scrap this special assessment and enter into a longer term contract with Horizon Point.
Now, was Horizon Point exempt from taxes at the time that was built?
Yes.
Because the township was a common law township at that time?
No, it had nothing to do with the nature of our township. It had to do with the fact that this was Michigan funded, and they're tax exempt. But in lieu of that, you get, I think it was up to 10% of the shelter rents, and the ordinance that we adopted as part of our code set the shelter rents at 7%, I believe, of the shelter rents. And that's the basic rent without utilities. I think the residents, when they pay rent, they are also paying a portion of that as part to cover the utilities. And we don't get, or they don't pay the payment in lieu of taxes on the utility portion of that rent payment. It's only the amount that goes to the shelter.
So we get 10%?
No, we get 7%.
7%.
Right, well, all of the taxing jurisdictions share that 7%, right?
Okay.
So the library, the county, the sheriff, they get their portion of that too. So, and that's why we don't just go with the 7%, because the township is the municipality that has to carry the burden of providing the services to that location. The county library doesn't, they get some of the money, but they don't really, provide any services to Horizon Point any more than the jail does, or the dog catcher does, or the drain commissioner does. But
And is that contract or agreement or whatever with Horizon Point coming in, is that forever? Or is that
yeah, that's an ordinance. The 7% is built into an ordinance.
But I'm referring to the fact that because it's funded, that it's tax exempt.
Yeah, that's by state law,
Remains
right?
forever.
Yeah, until the legislature changes the state law, or until the developer would sell that to some private entity and turn it into a private apartment complex. Yeah, it's going to be tax exempt, and we're going to be stuck with the 7% of the rents plus whatever special assessment or municipal services agreement that we entered into.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, where are we now? We haven't had a motion. Okay, so we need a motion to approve this resolution.
I'll make the motion.
And I'll support. So I have a motion by Dean Cruz, support by Walker, to approve the resolution 2001-06A as amended, redetermining the total costs of the services for the year 2017, and directing the supervisor to extend such costs upon the Horizon Point Special Assessment Rule. Any further discussion? Okay, Kathy, you want to do a roll call, please?
Gutowski, yes. Ball?
Yes.
Dean Cruz?
Yes.
Brian Cruz?
Yes.
Kolonowski? Walker?
Yes.
Stegall?
Yes.
Okay, item D is consideration of approval to pursue hiring an additional legal firm to represent the township in certain zoning matters due to possible conflict of interest. And basically, this is dealing with the potential redevelopment or development of the cogeneration plant. They have come to the township for some initial discussion. Have not gone before the planning commission yet. Lynn and I have met with Joe Tondu. We also met with Jim Tondu and Hank Huffman a couple of times. And we just feel that to make sure that all the permitting is followed, everything that's required through all of the federal and state agencies. We need somebody that can kind of lead us through that process, that has that experience and knowledge and background. So in your package, you have copies of 3 different law firms that, one of them, Shorten Fans, attorneys have been used by Marquette Township for about 20 years. I know Shirley had some discussion with their clerk, and I had some discussion today with their supervisor in terms of experience in industrial developments of this nature. The two of the others that are in your packet, one is a firm in Traverse City that's Olson, Bisbeck, and Howard. The township did use them a number of years back. And then Lewis, Reed, and Allen, they are out of Kalamazoo, and they represent the township in the tax tribunal involving the cogeneration plant also. So those are just three that we're kind of looking at, considering that I think we really need to maybe expand that search a little bit, get more information. And what I would really like to do is get approval from the board to have a committee of three that can review these three firms and do some research on any other firms and bring a, I guess, for the board to approve a committee coming to consensus on a law firm to represent the township in this matter, and then bring it to the board for approval. It's something that I think we need to move on somewhat quickly, because I anticipate they will be coming to the planning commission meeting later this month, and so we kind of want to get
I think we ought to have something like that.
lined up.
I really do, just to vote on them tonight or anything, we don't know that much about them, just what we read. We've used one, two, we used to have, the one was really good. I think we ought to take a good look at it. So I'm all for a real small committee, do it quick and thorough.
Would you like to volunteer to be on that?
Sure.
I guess, first of all, maybe we should give board approval to set up that committee to have that assignment. I would, I'll make a motion that the board approve appointing a committee to explore, investigate, come back with a recommendation to the legal firm to represent the township in the development, further development of the cogeneration plant.
And second that.
Any further discussion?
Terry, I'd only point out that if the committee is going to have the authority to sort of lead through a number of applicants, it has to conduct its meeting at an open meeting, and you have to post the meetings.
Okay.
I just point that out. Yeah.
And just like we did before.
Right. Yeah. Even though it's a sub-quorum of
Yeah.
the total board, you're delegating to it the ability to pick and choose among a number of law firms, and under recent opinions of the Court of Appeals, that makes it an open meeting. Okay. So,
And I think what,
not that you try to do closed session anyway, but.
well, I think what we'll probably do is do the research just among the committee to try to come up with any other firms besides these, and get as much information as we can gather on these firms, and then have an open meeting where we discuss whatever firms we're looking at and come up with a recommendation. Is that going to be satisfying the law?
Yeah, the committee can look at all the resumes and websites they want to look at. They can do that in their, the comfort of their own living room if they want to. But if they get together and start sort of sorting through and prioritizing That's what has to be done in an open meeting.
Okay, good. Okay, where were we? We had a motion and we had a support of the motion, so motion by Walker, support by Ball to establish a committee of 3, so we don't have quorum, to explore, investigate legal representation, and then come back to the board with a recommendation. Okay, any other discussion?
And the part of the motion is for the 3 people, do it as well,
To,
encompass it all in one motion.
oh, yeah, we don't, yeah, I guess, yeah, we probably should include that in the motion, who those 3 people are gonna be, so Dean has volunteered, is there anyone else that wants to serve on that
I will.
subcommittee? Shirley? I certainly will, unless another board member wishes to, but, okay. Then incorporate into that motion, committee of Dean Cruz, Shirley Ball, and Walker. Okay. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. And maybe we 3 should just touch base after the meeting tonight. Talk about that a little bit. Okay. Item E is consideration of approval of the adoption of an ordinance to amend the Charter Township of Filer Code of Ordinances to add new Chapter 28 to provide for connection to public sewers within the township, to regulate such public sewer connections, to prohibit certain conduct, to provide for the assessment and collection of charges and fees in connection with sewage disposal services, to provide penalties for violations of the ordinance, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. And as you recall, we addressed that at the special hearing in November. And now we're looking at final approval and adoption of this.
I so move.
I'll support the motion to approve the adoption of this ordinance to add new Chapter 28. Any discussion? Okay, Kathy, you want to call the roll, please?
Stady,
Yes.
Bukowski, yes. Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Ball,
Yes,
Walker,
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Okay, item F is consideration of approval of the presented part-time employment agreement between the Charter Township of Filer and the Ball. And I guess, Shirley or Richard, if you want to just recap why we're doing this, because I thought we had done this at the,
No, at the last meeting, you surely had to, under the statute, you surely had to give public notice that she was going to have a pecuniary interest in a contract with the township, couldn't be voted on at the same time, and you asked me to prepare a written employment contract, part-time employment contract, which I have subsequently done, and which is on your table before you. So, following Shirley's disclosure at the last meeting, you now need a 2/3 roll call vote, not counting Shirley. 1, 2, 3,
Dale?
71%, okay, so,
Did we
pardon?
count Dale? He's not here.
No, he's not here, so but you still need 5 out of 7, or 4 out of 7. Well, though you need 2/3, so 5 out of 7.
2/3 of the.
All the trustees.
Well, 5 members, because I'm sure we can't vote, right?
Right, and you've got, what, 7?
5 here.
You got 6 here, 7.
Right, but you gotta count the people that are not here as being on the board, so you need
Okay.
2/3 of 7.
Okay.
Yeah, you need all 5, because 2/3 of 7 is 4.6.
Right,
So all 5, not counting Shirley,
so it
need
must
to
be
vote
one.
in favor of this in order for it to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much do we like Shirley?
A lot right now.
You got one vote.
Yeah, we know we have one vote. Well, and the whole idea of this was, you know, to ensure a smooth transition of new people in office, so.
There's a motion to,
Yes.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Brian Cruz, support by Steggy, to approve the presented part-time employment agreement between the township and Shirley Ball. And Kathy, do a roll call on this, please.
Walker,
Yes.
Steggy,
Yes.
Paul,
Nope.
Steve, Captain Husky, yes. Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Maybe by the skill of your chin, didn't you?
Remember on the board stuff.
Are you seriously sign of relief over here?
Well,
Okay, public comment.
What is your January meeting?
January,
The second is New Year's holiday, isn't it?
it
Monday's
may
the
be, but
holiday.
we're scheduled for the 3rd, as I recall.
Okay.
Tuesday's the third.
Right.
Be the first Tuesday.
Yep,
Okay.
January 3rd.
Okay, that's cool.
The 1st is on a Sunday this year, so.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Keith, Kathy just reminded me that the township offices will be closed on that Friday and Monday.
Yeah, okay.
Friday before the New Year's weekend and the Monday.
Yeah, that doesn't affect me anyway.
Right. Any other public comment?
I'd just like to reiterate my invitation to any board member that wants to come over in the fire department and look at equipment we have or ask any questions. Get a hold of me anytime, Mr. Richmond, please come over and check the place out.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Anyone else? Okay, anything else to come before the board tonight? Shirley? Right. Yeah. Steve? No? Okay. I just have one thing, and that's concerning the Regional Resource Recovery Project team. I got an email last week from Sarah Parker, and they are having the initial meeting on Tuesday, December 20th, up at Crystal Mountain Resort, Arctic Bay Conference Room from 1 until 3. And we need a representative from this board to attend that meeting. So I'm asking for a volunteer to sit on that committee. I've got the information here, probably looking at, it looks like maybe 5 meetings. Well, actually, probably 4 meetings, because we're already past the first one, between now and August of 2017. So, is there a volunteer? I'd like to have a board member on that team. As Sarah said, we could have someone from the public. I have had a gentleman inquire about recycling, and so that was several months ago. So I thought I'm going to contact him and see if he would like to go along with a board member on this committee. So,
Johnny Pay?
yeah, that's the regional researcher program.
I would do it, unless I have a conflict for that day. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay, that is, well, why don't you two check that out, and certainly, I don't think it would hurt to have 2 people, in case one person can't make it sometimes, the other person can sit in. So let's do that, and I'm planning on Shirley and Kathy representing us. I'll still contact the resident, see if he has an interest in being involved in that. So again, that's December 20th. From 1 to 3, and that will be at the Art Bay Conference Room in Crystal Mountain Resort. I will I'll put copies of this packet in your mailboxes. Thank you, Shirley and Kathy, for volunteering for that. I have nothing else. So I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I so move.